Hello, mathematicians, and welcome to 4.5 Interest. Our essential question today is, what is interest and how do I calculate it? Go ahead and grab those needed supplies, your writing utensil, your math notebook, that growth mindset, and some determination as we tackle our single learning goal today where we can calculate interest. So, what is interest? Well, one example of interest is if you put money in a savings account at the bank, that bank is going to pay you interest. They're going to basically pay you a small amount of money as kind of a thank you for choosing their bank, for doing your business with them. And so it's a percentage of a given amount of money over a given period of time. And so depending on how much money you put into that bank and how long you keep it there will determine how much interest that you earn for putting your money in their bank. So this is interest where, like, I get the money. It's kind of nice. It's good for me, right? Well, there's another kind of interest where instead of me getting the money, I'm giving the money. Because if you borrow money in the form of a loan, then the bank or whoever you borrow that money from, they're going to charge you interest. And so what ends up happening is you end up paying back more than you borrowed. So I might borrow $500, but if the person is charging me interest, I'm going to pay $500 plus interest. I'm going to pay back more than what I actually borrowed. So we have this formula, I equals PRT, and this is the formula that we use to calculate interest. So let's take a minute and talk about what these different letters mean. The I is obviously interest. That is what we are calculating, and that equals PRT. P is the principal. Well, what is principal? Principal is just another way of saying the money. And so if I put money into the bank, the amount of money I've put in, that's the principal. Or if I'm borrowing money, the amount that I've borrowed, that's the principal. So we're going to find interest, we're going to take the amount of money either invested in or put in the savings account or that we've borrowed, and we're going to multiply it by the rate. The rate is that percentage, and in this formula, we always want to convert it and change it to a decimal. So rate is percent as a decimal. And if you remember the definition that we just talked about, we talked about how interest is a percentage of an amount of money over a period of time. T stands for time. And here's what you need to know about time. We always use years. We don't ever do it in weeks or days or months, but we always calculate it in years. So let's take a look at an example. We have our formula back up here because we're going to use it over and over and over. Sarah's parents are buying a new boat. That's exciting. They are borrowing $40,000 from the bank at an annual interest rate of 7% for 72 months. What is the amount of interest her parents will pay on this loan? All right, so we want to take the information given to us and plug it back into that formula, PRT, principal times rate times time, to figure out our interest. So the principal, how much money are Sarah's parents borrowing? You got it. They're borrowing $40,000. And then the rate, what is my percentage? Yes, it's 7%, and 7% as a decimal is 0.07 for 72 months. What is our time? It's not 72 because remember we said we always have to do it in years. There are 12 months in a year. 72 divided by 12 is 6 years. So the interest is 40,000 times 0.07 times 6. So our interest, if we multiply that all, is $16,800. So they're going to borrow $40,000. They're going to have to pay back that $40,000 plus an additional $16,800 in interest. Second example. Got our formula back up there. You make a one-time deposit of $5,000, and that earns you 5.5% interest. How much interest will you earn after 2 years? So PRT, our principal is $5,000. Our rate, 5.5% as a decimal. And then our time, this one's already in years, 2. And so that looks like 5,000 times 0.055 times 2. How much do you earn in interest? $550. So if you put $5,000 in this bank and you keep it there for 2 years, then after 2 years, if you did nothing else, you would have $5,550. Final example in our notes today is about Mr. Bates. He has borrowed $9,000 for 36 months, and he has to pay 9% interest. So how much does he pay in interest? Again, we're going to do principal times rate times time. I equals PRT. Principal, how much did he borrow? $9,000. The rate, 9% as a decimal, is 0.09. And then 36 months, that is 3 years. So we're going to do 9,000 times 0.09 times 3, meaning Mr. Bates pays $2,430 in interest. Mathematicians, that is the end of interest. Let's go ahead and give you some jazz hands for finishing that video today. Hopefully you can now answer the essential question, what is interest and how do I calculate it? You go ahead and give that shout out to Amy Grosbeck, Amanda Newsom, and Wright Lovely for their amazing fonts and clip arts. Mathematicians, go forth and be amazing.